Guys, welcome back to We Talk Money. Today we've got a special episode with our buddy Neville Medhora.
Thanks for having me on the Chris and Trav morning show.
Nikki got darker hair and a darker voice, or a deeper voice.
Yeah. Take financial advice from me. He talks finance.
So the last time we did something together was on my YouTube channel, which was Whiskey and Wisdom, like a year or two ago, with Noah Kagan as well. You remember that?
Yeah, we kicked him off the show.
We were kind of toasted. And I was
Noah's famous now. You know, he's just left the building.
That's true. That's true. His YouTube has absolutely exploded. But yeah, last time I'm like trying to remember what we talked about, but we were like half a bottle of whiskey deep in that show.
Woo!
And unfortunately, I was going to bring some whiskey, but one, it's early. The Fed's about to make their announcement. And two, I stopped drinking. So there's that little lame thing. So I got some caffeine though.
5 hour energy. We could do this
Celsius
instead.
and 5 hour. What are you drinking over there?
I'm just drinking a lowly Waterloo over here.
Okay,
Apparently, I didn't
nice.
get the memo on the energy drinks.
Well, we're going to be over here buzzing. But okay, anyway, the reason I wanted to bring Nev on today was because A, he's a badass entrepreneur who's built something really cool and is somewhat on the forefront of the whole AI space, specifically how it's impacting entrepreneurs. And we'll talk about some investments you've made in the space, how it's integrated into your own business, but also you run a big community of entrepreneurs and how it's impacting them. Those are kind of the things I wanted to hone in on.
Yeah. Well, what aspect of that do you want to start on? Because I have lots of thoughts on this.
I don't know. What do you think is the most impactful thing that you've seen so far? And maybe what predictions do you have about how it's going to impact small businesses and entrepreneurs?
Yeah, so I look like every AI CEO anyway. So I love AI stuff. I made an early investment in Copy AI that was doing this. So there was GPT-2 that originally came out a couple years ago. It was garbage. It didn't work. It wasn't a real thing. And then GPT-3 came out. The thing is, you couldn't just go to gpt3.com and access it. You had to go through a company like Copy AI or like Jasper or one of those types of things, right? And so all these AI wrapper companies were actually really needed back then. That was the only way you can use it. And so it was starting to make some pretty interesting results. It was limited. It can make like very short tweets. It can make very early emails and stuff. And then GPT 3.5 kind of came out and they released Chat GPT where you just directly talk with it. So instead of having to use another company to access this kind of stuff, you just go to, OpenAI and start typing stuff in. Now, I run a copywriting company. Copywriting is the art of rearranging words to make things sell better. And so people are like, how has this impacted you? In a way, a lot. In a way, very little. So in the way that it's a lot, if you think of what copywriting is, it's like writing emails, writing ad copy, writing all this kind of stuff. It's all text-based. Now there's this thing, this entity, this brain that kind of does 50% of that for you. And it can do it at lightning speed. So instead of saying, Neville, can you write me an email? And I sit there and with my dumb human brain type it out. This thing can spit out 5 of them and you go, I like that one the best. Or you could tell it, make that one shorter, make that one better, make that one say my name. You could just prompt it like that. So there's this new thing out there that you couldn't do this stuff like a year ago. It didn't exist a year ago. So when I think of copywriting, I've always long thought of how do I install information from my brain into your brain or my brain into a million brains? That's my definition of copywriting. But the pure definition is rearranging words on a page. And that has definitely been impacted. Now, the way I said it, we're not being impacted. In our community, we actually have people and it shouldn't be called copywriting. It should be called make this better or how can I make this better? So people show us a sales page and we're not necessarily rearranging the words on the page, but we're saying add social proof over here, do this. What if you have some demos that you could put over here? That's kind of mainly what we do. So that aspect of it has actually not been impacted by ChatGPT or any AI that much yet.
Yeah.
I want to. I've been chomping at the bit. We have a thing where we have the API, it can intake posts and spit out answers. It's just not good yet. It will be.
So what you're talking about is messaging, right? Copywriting is copywriting, formulating sentences and using hooks and all that. But to actually propose an offer and have the right elements in place, I don't know of any AI that can do that effectively yet. I mean, I know there's I wrote about this today in the Daily Doe, no code websites and apps that you can just plop together and they talk about the different pieces to the puzzle, right? When you have a sales page, you need to have all these elements. But I guess where your brain comes in with your expertise and all the people you've helped is how to actually structure it in a way that makes sense and converts. Right.
Well, like the whole business, it's not just like what about this email? Usually people say, what about this email? How do I make it better? I'm like, well, who are you sending this to in the first place? And they're like, oh, we bought a cold email list. And we're like, well, these people aren't going to be like that engaged, blah, blah, blah. How can we get people to you? That kind of stuff that AI is not like super good at. Will it be? I think so at some point. I think, will it be? Have you guys used any of the plugins for GPT-4?
Yeah.
I mean, every time they add a new plugin, there's this whole dimension of features that are just unlocked overnight. Like
which ones do you like the most?
I mean, so for example, I think one that has a lot of potential that I'm interested in, the Canva one. You know, Canva, it's just like, instead of Photoshop, I used to use Photoshop every day. Now I just use Canva. It's better in a lot of ways.
Yeah, and Adobe's built out, what is it, Firefly?
Yep.
So
they have their generative AI, and then so does Canva. And honestly, Canva beats the shit out of it.
Really?
It's not even close. I mean, Adobe's is a joke.
Okay, that being said though, the new Photoshop that rolled out with some of their stuff recently, I played around with it I actually generated some images in Midjourney and then used Adobe Photoshop to like remove objects. And they've had object recognition for a while, but it's gotten really, really good. And I was like, okay, this is a game changer for being able to put together like marketing images or just like whatever I want on the fly. It was pretty cool.
It's getting good. I think the reason I don't like Photoshop as much, and the reason I don't tell like all our students to learn it as much as I did, is like Canva's so damn easy.
Oh, it's Canva. It's
So
certainly a better
easy.
product. Yeah.
You open it up and you know what to do.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
And also like the AI stuff's cool, but also regular templates are very helpful.
Yes.
Right.
So do you think AI is going to make copywriters obsolete?
I think it's going to change what they do. Right. So if you think about copywriting, it started in like the 1920s or something like that, when you could like take an ad out in the Sears catalog, you take an ad out in your local newspaper, and you have to pay for it. So up front, I'm losing money. I'm losing $1,000 in 1920 just to take an ad out. I damn well better make sure that it's going to convert well. So I try it out on like different people and my friends and family and things like that first. That's where copywriting came from. And it was mainly text-based. But then over time, we were able to put images in catalogs and in ads. Then we're able to do videos and all that kind of stuff. So I would say that a better term for what I do is probably digital marketing more than anything. But copywriting is like the easy foot in the door. Yeah.
That is a very specific high value skill set that a lot of people lack. And when you have a typical student that comes through your community, what do you see that like are the biggest mistakes people make? Or like, where do they fall short where you're like, oh, that's an easy fix?
It's a thing that affects us all. And it's just like, it's blindness from seeing your same stuff over and over and over. So for example, you got this page up over here. This is like, well, I've never changed this because every time we do a split test, I can't make it convert higher than this dumb old image. It's so bad.
For you guys that are listening to the podcast, he's got a stick figure pointing at his opt-in form on a very simple opt-in.
And here's an even more fun thing about this one. Look at his hand. What does it look like?
It looks like genitalia.
It looks like a dick. Yeah. that was the Easter egg that 8 years ago, younger Neville was just like, it would be funny there's a dick on it. Yeah.
You've had this up for 8 years?
Yeah. And we split test it all the time. This is based on it's a lead page, so I could do these split tests. Yeah. I've never been able to beat the conversion rate. So like the style isn't even really emblematic of what we are anymore.
Yeah.
But it just works so well that I'm like, well, I can't.
What is the opt-in rate?
Like 10% or something like that still.
Why do you think this works over other things you've tried?
I think because everything becomes like bland and normal, like sign up for our email list, get our newsletter. It's like, okay, well, I've seen that 10,000 times today. And then you see this shit image and it's all blurry and grainy and stuff like that. Actually, someone who works with me, Leslie, she actually made that image and is embarrassed of it because it's so like grainy, and she's much better than that. But we're just like, for some reason, this one works better than the nice one.
It's a pattern interrupt, right? Like people see it and they're like, okay, that's different. That's weird.
They're like, what? Yeah, and then it's like pointing to the thing, which I think is a little bit unique. So I don't know. I just left it up, and the little dick Easter egg is on there.
Okay, cool. So you've invested in AI. You use the tools every day, I'm assuming.
Day. Yeah.
How do you use them? Like, what are the best use cases where it saves you the most?
Brainstorming, I'd say.
Yeah.
Actually, not necessarily to write things necessarily, because I still think I could write better than it most of the time. But like coming up with headlines, and the thing is, it's like there used to be this big thing in the copywriting community of like writer's block. I think that's eliminated.
Yeah.
Like you have no reason to have writer's block anymore. And so what you do is just like, what are some good headlines about blah, blah, blah. It gives you 10 kind of mediocre mid ones. And then you're like, oh, now I know how to make a better one. Your brain starts, it's easier. If I say, write a cold email to the CEO of Johnson & Johnson, I give you a blank page, it's quite a difficult task, especially if you're not a writer. But if I say, here's 3 different emails, which one do you like best? It's actually pretty easy. So that same concept, what I just described, is what happens with AI. You just tell it to give you a bunch of things and you go, oh, I like that part from that part from that part. And then you have something like that.
Yep.
That's one of the best ways I've used it. Also, just sometimes when I'm thinking about, we were talking about community yesterday, I ask it vague questions, not specific questions. I actually ask it vague questions, being like, what's some of the best online communities? And then it'll list them out. And then I'm like, how big are each of these? What do they do to attract engagement? And that's how I interface with it. I actually don't write long prompts. I write really vague prompts and then sharpen the axe as time goes on.
That's brilliant. So what tools do you find yourself using the most?
There's just one, I think. I mean, so there are all these different AI tools. I think the one I'm just using the most is like basic GPT-4.
Yeah.
I pay for it, so it goes a little faster and stuff like that, and you get access to the plugins. But the plugins are kind of, I think, where a lot of the action is going to happen. So
Yeah.
What happens to Copy AI then? Because you are an investor,
I think they go upstream. So all these companies have moved upstream. So, okay, so what happens is something like Copy AI, and by the way, I'm not just picking on Copy AI. I'm an investor. I love those guys.
Yeah.
But like
Those guys-
Jasper and all the...
Jasper, all the other ones. Honestly, Jasper and Copy AI are probably in a better position than most of those other ones that came afterwards, because those guys are just purely just GPT-4 wrappers, which it's like, what is the purpose anymore? And what's happened with all those other companies, what they're saying is like, okay, GPT, OpenAI, you just use it normally, just interface with it directly. Why do you need another company? So what they're doing is kind of like an auto GPT type thing, where it's like you are a large company and you say, I want to build a database of all the CMOs in town. So do this action that like normally a human would have to do, like find all the biggest companies out there. Get their CMO's name, find their email addresses. Are there any other aliases they have? What are their LinkedIns? Compile this in a spreadsheet. I think that's the thing that all these companies are going to move towards.
Right.
Because just simply interfacing with chat, I mean, you could just go to OpenAI and use it for free. And honestly, the free version is pretty damn good.
Yeah. I liked the idea. Like I was messing with this a few months ago with like the agents, where it like spins off a task and then it creates more tasks, and it can't really execute them right now. But I think when
Yeah, it's not good yet.
Yeah, when the AI can actually, send emails and communicate and scrape data and like do more tasks than just write and aggregate text, like that's going to be a game changer.
But also, I mean, I think there's a lot of things. It's just like we're focused on the tech right now, AI. Like in 5 years, we won't think of it as like AI. For example, we don't think about like going to someone's web page as like we're going to their online presence.
Yeah.
Like we said that in 2000, or we're like, we're going to go to the World Wide Web and look them up. You just assume that that's part of the flow now.
Yeah.
So I think the AI stuff is just going to be the thing that like Google Docs will have a little like fill in the blank for you. Gmail already has it where it like responds for you.
Yep.
You start typing, hey, Travis, and it just kind of makes a response. Those are AI tools that we don't call AI tools. That's just machine learning that's been around forever. And we don't even think about it as AI. It's just part of the thing.
Just yesterday, I was trying to find it here. Bard just integrated like Google search and some more real-time stuff. So I thought that was interesting. But yeah, I'll piggyback on what you said about the tools and like mostly using ChatGPT. There's a couple of like limitations that GPT has, like the token amount. So Claude AI, have you heard of Claude? What's the company?
Is it Hugging Face that does Claude? I can't remember
No,
which. No, I know it starts with an A, isn't it? It's Anthropic. Yeah.
Yeah. So Anthropic, I guess they have a different backend, but this can handle up to 100,000 tokens. So like 75,000 words. So if I want to read like a deep research paper, I'll just copy paste the whole text in a PDF, throw it into Claude, and that can handle much more. And I've started asking like the same question to Claude, GPT, and Bard and sometimes you get wildly different answers, especially with brainstorming or research type stuff. So I found value there, just like not having one AI to interface with, just getting multiple opinions.
Bard already kind of does that in a way. It has the three options, where it gives you three options. Whereas like GPT or GPT-4 will like say like, this is the answer. It doesn't say this is the answer, but it'll give you one and you're like, well, that's the answer. Bard will actually show you three different options. It has that little pull down and you can see three different versions of it. I actually really like that because I think that's how we're going to interface with AI more, by saying like, here's the options. Which one do you like the most? It'll generate 5 images and you pick which one you like the most.
Yeah.
That's the way I think it's going to go down. I mean, you must have seen AI impact trading in some way? I'm sure people are like, hey, go pick a bunch of stock trades, right?
Yeah.
Has that been happening?
There's a bunch of influencers on YouTube, finance influencers, that did a big push a couple of months ago to essentially do ChatGPT stock picking. And they put like 50 grand into a portfolio where ChatGPT picks stocks. And I think for the first week, it just like randomly was outperforming the S&P. So they were like saying, oh my God, this is beating the S&P, but like it was just random noise. And the fact is, like, I've tried to use ChatGPT for a bunch of different investing tasks, and frankly, it's not good. It's not meant for picking stocks. It doesn't even grab the right data, even though it'll tell you it's grabbing the right data. A lot of hallucinations and stuff. So it's not there yet for finance tasks, in my opinion. But you can bet that behind the scenes, Renaissance Tech and all the algorithmic traders have already implemented, a lot of the basic ideas behind, some of the recent AI developments, like transformers, learning algorithms, things like that.
What if we take a big step back and zoom out to the future? Like, what do you think will happen? Do you think that this technology is going to get worse or better?
It definitely gets better.
But like, better or better? Like, do you think our brains will be smarter than this at some point?
It'll be smarter than us?
Yes.
What does that mean, though? Like, have more information or be better at
IQ.
making...
Yes.
Yeah, why not?
Yes, for sure.
You probably have a 120, give or take 10 IQ.
I doubt that. I think I'm pretty average IQ.
I think
Trav's
120
up
is
there.
like average, I think.
No, 100 is average.
Okay, so you're middle average, right?
I think, well, okay, sure, yeah.
Yeah. So we're just going quartiles, right? There's like stupid, kind of average, above average, and then like very smart and beyond, right?
Yeah.
AI has already like proved that like on IQ tests that it's like above average.
Yeah.
Okay. And we're GPT 3.5 came out a year ago.
Right.
Okay. That's
Well,
wild.
I think on the hockey stick, we're just at the beginning of exponential, insane growth.
So I think it's fair to say that AI will have an IQ of 200 in the next 5 to 10 years.
I think so.
Yeah.
Now, if you
that's
think about
reasonable.
that, the smartest person in the world is probably not a 200 IQ. Okay, maybe debate someone got a 210 or something like that. Yeah. The point is, one of the smartest things on earth will no longer be a human. Mm-hmm. And so you have to think that like, okay, that Wayne Gretzky quote of like, don't look at the hockey puck, look at where it's going. Where is this going? And we've seen several examples of this in our lifetime of people that predicted this well. Jeff Bezos was selling books on Amazon, and people were like, well, you can sell a book, I guess, online. There's no way you can sell clothes. Turns out you can really well. I think Apple went mobile first. Google, long time ago, way before mobile phones were like a big thing, were like, we're doing everything mobile first. That was a good play. They're like, that's where the hockey puck's going, and they dominated for the next 10 years.
Yep. That's what we spend a lot of time thinking about is like, what is the next big thing, or like, where's the world going? And what do people think is impossible now that's going to be absolutely everywhere in like 5 years?
What is happening now was like absolutely, utterly, fathomably impossible 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And now it's not.
Yep.
So
that's going to happen more and more, faster and faster. I think.
So I think, and just also like another easy change in our lifetime was the web, right? Someone watching this is definitely watching it on a computer, on their phone, on their tablet, on their whatever. It's all computers. 20 years ago, you were like, there was like this difference between like the World Wide Web and offline. Mm-hmm. Now there is no difference whatsoever.
Right.
So I think that this AI stuff is just going to be a part of it. And that like, it's probably going to generate the large amount of content on the web for us.
Right.
So for example,
for better or worse.
Well, for example, we can make this video, but if you want to put this as a blog post so it lives on your blog, that's a big task. That's like hours of work. Instead, the AI will do all of that stuff. Mm-hmm. So I think AI will make all of our supporting content, nearly 100% of it.
Interesting. Yeah, it'll definitely do a lot of the heavy lifting and the manual work.
YouTube descriptions, podcast descriptions, tags, cutting things up, saying that like Travis talked about this at this point, Chris talked about this at that point, all that. Why would a human sit there and do that?
Right. So you work with a lot of entrepreneurs that are doing different things, right, in your community. How do you think this is going to disrupt or help the average person? Like, I don't know what your average person is doing. Are they plumbers? Are they digital marketers? Like, what do you think is going to happen?
Usually it's someone with an online business. There are people, there is like a 10% amount of that have like offline businesses, which I personally like quite a bit. But most of them are online people, either trying to grow an audience, trying to get clients online, trying to sell something. A lot of them will sell a digital course just because the economics of that are so good. And then most of them already have a business that's either 1 to 5 people, and they're trying to make it better. And so they're just like, well, can we boost this sales page conversion rate by 5% or 50%? And they don't know what to do. So they come to us and then they either learn from our content or they just ask me directly.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's what most of them do. They're just like digital marketers in some sense.
So do you think AI is just going to make that easier, or is it going to make things hyper competitive?
So I can never predict the future, but I can see the past. And like, did the internet make it easier to start a business? Hell yeah.
Absolutely.
I went to school in college in 2001, right? And we had an entrepreneurship club. 2 out of 200 people in our entrepreneurship club, me and one other guy, had a business.
Wow.
and the other guy had a business, like a family business.
Yeah.
So I was the only one that started something, and it was because I was tech oriented enough to be able to like start an online thing.
Isn't that funny how like, yeah, back in the day, entrepreneurship wasn't as cool. Like,
it was weird.
I had a business in high school and people thought that was the weirdest thing. I was detailing cars and they're like, oh my God, this is wild.
Do you
But
know I was one of the first financial bloggers that talked about how much money I made online openly?
Really?
There was like one other guy that did it under a pseudonym or whatever, and I was a college student and the numbers weren't that big, so I didn't care.
Yeah.
But back in the day, that was like, what are you doing? Were you telling people how much money? Now in your Twitter profile, it's like, hey, I made $6 million exit. Like, you tell it right away, right?
Yeah.
It's just like, it's changed so quickly. And it's because the tools have changed. It used to be hard to like spin up a server or like even know what the hell a DNS was. Now
how
you
to
don't
host a website.
Yeah,
It's
you
like,
don't need all that
week-long
anymore.
process.
Oh yeah.
If you start a Twitter account or a Facebook page, it is a blog, right? It is a place where you post stuff and other people can see it. That's a blog. You don't need any tech skills.
Yeah. Man, so there's so many ways we could take this. Let's go down. I want to talk about like your business, how you built it, and how you think about like allocating capital as an entrepreneur. Because one thing I've heard a lot of lately, and I think Hormozy really started this, is like, don't invest in the S&P 500, invest in the S&Me 500. And I think there's a lot of truth to that. Like if you're building a business, it makes sense to take your capital and reinvest it in your business because you're going to get a much better return than like a passive index fund. But at some level, it does make sense to invest in diversify outside of your own business, because what if your business fails or gets disrupted or whatever? And I think it makes sense to be diversified. So how do you think of that? Do you reinvest a lot back in your own business? Do you invest in other stuff? Where does Neville put his cash?
The answer is both, right? I think investing in like long-term is in like a Warren Buffett style way of like, you invest it and don't ever touch it for the next 20 years. I think that's the way to go. And it's been proven over and over. So you guys trade. And I always tell people, I'm like, you're one of the few people I know that makes money as a trader. And you actually have these like very Buffett-esque type philosophies. You're like, when there's a big bull market, you take money off the table. A lot of traders just going to keep doubling down and they lose all their money. And you're actually very smart about it. Both of you are very smart about it, like taking advantage of like macroeconomic trends. So similarly, I can't predict what like Google stock's going to do in the next 6 months. Will Google be around in 10 years? I think so. Will it be a cash printing machine? I still think so. I mean, like Microsoft is still around. IBM is still around, making a lot of money. People are like, IBM's dead, no innovation. You're like, but they make billions of dollars a quarter, right? You can't deny this. And so I actually posted this on Twitter somewhere. It was like, I call it my inflation protection kit. It was basically bare metal internet stocks, meaning who runs the servers on the web. Who is actually too big to fail? And there's some common names. It's Microsoft, Amazon, Google, Apple. They control, if you put together, maybe 90% of the Western web.
I think those companies have done okay.
They've done okay, and it sounds like they will continue to be okay.
That's right.
And most of the capture from all this AI stuff, I don't think is going to be small companies. I think it's going to be them. Because think about it. Okay, what would be a great use case for AI? What if it was just inside of your Google Doc and you push a button and it just writes things? That would be awesome. You know who controls Google Docs? Google. So I think they're going to capture a lot of those things. It's not going to be startups, with the exception of maybe like OpenAI and a few other ones. But I think those big companies are going to be able to just like insert this as an API and bam, go through the roof. So
what do you think, Trav?
You're already seeing that with Apple and everything too.
Yeah,
big time.
I tend to agree. I do think there will be, like you said, a handful of new winners as well in addition, and there will be some new markets opened up, but I agree that the bigs have the most to gain. Also the most to lose, but it seems like they recognize it as an opportunity and a threat, and so I think you're right.
Big companies are always like, oh, they're slow to innovate, but then you look at all the big companies, they've all applied AI in great ways, actually very impressive ways. In fact, they've done more impressive things than some of the smaller companies, and you're like, well, they are moving fast, really fast. This stuff is easy to implement for a lot of people. Yeah. So I think some of those big companies, the other two things I only invest in two cryptos, Bitcoin and Ethereum. Bitcoin, because I think long-term store of value, brand name, all that kind of stuff. Ethereum, because I actually think it has like a lot more utility and will move a lot faster. So whatever the debates are, I don't care. Those are the only two I invest in. There's some like smaller ones. I don't know enough about them to invest in them.
That's smart. The only reason I am even interested in most alts is because I trade them to accumulate more Bitcoin or dollars that I can invest long-term in.
Well, that's your world. It's not my world.
Exactly.
So you'll know way more.
That takes a lot of focus and a lot of time. And yeah, if you're busy doing something else that's generating a lot of cash, that's probably going to get you a much better ROT, return on time, than staring at charts all day.
Oh, my Bitcoin strategy? I copy these guys. Whatever, if they said they sold some, I sell. I'm like, they're paying attention. I'm not. And so I trust you. Not I trust you, but I know that you think about it well. And so I'm just like, well, I'm not as smart as these guys on this and don't spend as much time. So I'm just going to copy you. Because I remember you said, I think you said you took some off the table or something at some point. Next day I sold. not all of it, just like a little bit.
Yeah,
but I was just like, And by the way, you were like fucking right on.
Oh
yeah, the spring of 21, especially when Elon got on SNL pumping Doge, I'm like, this is the fucking top.
Yeah.
Like, this is so stupid. And that literally that day was the top in Doge. How messed up is that? And then it was down 95%.
Yeah. And I was like, I view these things as decade-long trades, like, right, 10 years before I even think about selling anything. But at the same time, there are these things that happen in the world where it's like, whoop, and then it takes a long time to come back up. And I was like, well, if he's doing it, I'm doing it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Tell me what you think.
You bought me a bunch of furniture for my house.
Do you have something?
Oh, no, I was just going to say, I think it's brilliant. You know, we talk in our community a lot, like, about, you know, taking opportunities at the right time and not, you know, over trading, but also we're not saying you should never market time, because we think like there are opportunities. Like you said, when things get frothy, you start to take some off the table. When, you know, everyone's super bearish and they think the world is ending, those have been our best times to buy and build, you know, massive sources of wealth for us historically.
Yeah, you and Nikki on both of the massive panics over the past few years have basically nailed the bottoms.
Yeah. And some of that's luck, but it's also, you know, patterns of human behavior that we see in markets and repeated basically every cycle. And so we do utilize that. And we don't sell everything at the top and we don't buy everything at the bottom, but making some of those adjustments, putting capital in when everybody else is, you know, bearish.
You just don't want to buy when it's a frenzy. When everyone's got laser eyes and everyone's buying and their mom's buying, the cab driver's like Bitcoin all the way. And you're just like, all right, well, something's happening here.
Yeah. I got in an elevator and there was like two like preteen girls that were having a conversation, and I heard them bragging to each other about the NFT gains, and I'm like, it's over. It's so done.
But then it'll come back, right? Like a crash, and now it's worth nothing. But at the same time, then the real work is going to start happening, being like, well, NFTs for concert tickets is pretty dope. And then, like, you know, in 2 years, Taylor Swift will release her thing and it'll be an NFT, whatever. Something like that will happen.
Yeah.
And it'll slowly start to go up.
Yeah.
We've seen this play out in our lifetime with the internet.
For sure.
The
Hype
whole
cycles.
pets.com thing.
Hype cycles.
Everyone was like
Classic.
making up, they're just like, this is going to take over the world. And they were right, but not at the right time.
Yes.
And then it all busted. It all went down. Everyone's like, tech is dead. But then it turns out tech is literally 100% of everything now. So they were right, but at the wrong time.
And I think what we were just talking about with AI, it's likely to go through a very similar hype cycle where we've seen, you know, this massive wave of hype and there's some real things to get excited about, but then like there may be some disillusionment for a little while. And then all of a sudden, you know, fast forward 10 years from now, we all have personal AI agents either on our phone or, you know, talking to us, you know, even, I don't know, holograms or whatever it may be, right?
Yeah. I mean, I've gone from like results of like, write this, because obviously with copywriting community, we do a lot of AI stuff in there. And I was like, make an email for this. And I'm like, this kind of sucks. It does it, but it kind of sucks, whatever. I have to modify it up. And then it's getting to the point where I'm just like, I mean, it kind of nailed it. Like, I don't need to modify this email.
Well, and you can add, now in GPT, you can add special instructions to tell it what your voice and your tone and all that is. And that does a lot of heavy lifting.
Yeah. So
does your business have big cycles? Like, you know, in our community, we have big boom and bust cycles in markets. And we typically see people come in at the highs and then leave when they should be focused at the lows. Do you see something similar to that?
Seasonal. I think it's seasonal. So we do like big event or like a sale or something like that. We'll see a lot of people. Q4 is big. And I think you have to relate it to like, what's the, you know, people can make up in the digital world a sale. I could say tomorrow there's a big sale ending, but it's not tied to anything real. I think the real things that we are tied to is quarters. So summer is historically the worst. Q4 is historically the best. Q1 is pretty good. And then the middle of the year is good. And then summer is usually like a doldrum. And so what happens is people are just like, the last year, our pitch is always like, well, for next year, start getting your business ready, right? And that's always a good pitch. And the end of the year is like the deadline. And so we can start modifying your sales page, all that stuff. So, 2024, you can really crush it.
Right.
Those types of things are where like the booms and busts comes from. Also, there will be, like Andrew Tate was talking about copywriting for a hot minute. You'll see like an increase in signups of these people that are like, I want to make 6 figures from copywriting. What do I do? And you're like, what? Where did this guy come from?
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, okay, he's pumping that thing. And so we've seen periods of like that where it's just like on one hand, they're like kind of crappy customers coming in because they're looking for get rich
it's like
quick.
get rich quick shit.
Yeah, and I'm like, this is the wrong place for you. But then like, Dan Locke, remember that guy?
Yeah.
He was kind of like the Asian Donald Trump. That's what he reminded me of. That guy was pushing. He's like, you learn copywriting, you'll be rich. You'll make $4,000 a day doing nothing.
Is he still a thing, or has he been thrown in jail yet?
I have no idea. I don't follow him at all.
Yeah.
But I remember like tracing back a lot of people to him. So
okay, gotcha.
I guess thank you in a way.
Yeah. So when a big like get rich quick influencer is talking about copywriting, like
we'll see
you
these
get some of that filter.
unexplained little bumps, and you're just like, where's this coming from?
Yeah.
Or you will actually hear about it from our writers being like, this guy's weird. That's actually how I hear about it. That this guy's being like, hey, how do I make a bunch of money right away? And you're like, where did he come from? Because we don't mention that. Like, we don't say like become a copywriter. It's more for like business owners to optimize all their stuff.
Yeah.
So
I guess we get that too. It's like when GME was popping off, like Travis called the GME short squeeze before it happened. And like, I think we got some fallout from some of those guys that were on Reddit just getting rich quick. Some of them actually stick around and do it the right way. Same with like crypto alt season. So I guess we get some of that same seasonality based on.
Have you ever pulled a chart of like your income versus the Bitcoin price?
Yes.
Does it like just mirror?
Very much. And
really?
we've been talking about like, how do we make that more stable? And I can say until I'm blue in the face, like, guys, when it's boring, that's when you need to fucking be here. But no, everybody cancels and they go away. And then halfway or 3/4 of the way through the bull market, they're like, hey, I'm back playing catch up. It's like, where were you? We're harvesting. You're just planting seeds now. So I don't know. That's my biggest challenge.
Well, okay. So, I mean, we've talked about this before, the community thing. So can we change the subject to community? We talked about this before, and I think this is applicable to you guys too. As digital creators, which is kind of what you are doing, YouTube, community, all that kind of stuff. I think one thing I see is people release some sort of course or product, right? Like information product. And then after a while, they go, well, how do we make more money? Let's release another one about something else. So you release like the Bitcoin product, then you release the Ethereum, then the altcoin one. After 3, 5, 8 products, you start going, all right, this is like getting a little confusing. People are like, well, which one should I buy? If I buy the Bitcoin one, can I get the Ethereum one too? And so what they do, it is invariably, they start bundling together. So now they go, okay, you get all of our things for one price of $9.97 or whatever the price is. And then they go, well, that's a pretty high price. Maybe I should break it down monthly. So I've seen everyone go from one course, they sell multiple courses, they sell one subscription to it, then they sell a monthly subscription. That seems to be the way. I think the next step in that is what you've already got going on is a community.
Yeah.
And what you run your community on Discord, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a mix of, like live calls, Discord, alerts, stuff like that.
Office hours, call, they can ask you stuff.
Exactly. Yeah. Because, information is basically commoditized. And now with GPT, it's like, you can ask it questions. It has a limited knowledge set, but this is my second time quoting Hormozy, but one thing he says is like, give away information and sell the implementation, basically like the service, and like actually do, like, I think people value, there's 3 levels of value, right? The lowest value is I'm going to teach you how to do something. Second level is I'm going to do it with you. And then the highest level is I'm going to do it for you, right? So if you can get out of I'm just going to teach you how to do it and actually do it with you, be in the trenches with you, even if you're not telling them exactly what to do, it's like I'm in there with you and I can help you in certain ways. I think people value that more than just like, here's some information, go have fun.
My good buddy Sam Parr, he just did a talk and I moderated the talk at the Inbound HubSpot conference, and he had a great quote. I have not forgot this since he said it a few days ago. And he was just like, an audience is where the whole community is looking at you. They're all like looking at Trav. He has an audience. A real community is where they're talking to each other, and you're not in the mix. You pop in once in a while, maybe, but you're not the person that they're there for. And I've been thinking about that a lot. I was just like, wow, a lot of my stuff is like, hey guys, listen to me, and then comment on it. It's like, how can we like let the community actually take control of a lot of stuff?
Do you have guys or ladies in your community that are like really good and they just give back and help other people?
Dude, it's the 9 dash, what's it called? The 1-9-90 rule, something like that. I forget what it's called, but it basically says of any big community of people, like 1% are going to post like all the content. 9% are going to sometimes post content and like kind of interact with it to some degree. 90% are lurkers.
Yep.
And that's generally how I bet your community's like that. I bet you see the same faces pop up all the time, the occasional faces, and then the
you know what's crazy? Like it's somewhere around a third of our members aren't even in Discord. They haven't even joined the community. Wow. They literally just come to the live classes. And like when you look at our Discord, it's not super active, but it's true. It's like 1% of people post a lot. Yeah, maybe 10% post infrequently, and the majority of people never say shit.
You can see this
like emailing us.
Check your Instagram stories. I bet it's the same 5-10 people that you have that you see their stories every time you log in.
Yeah.
And then you see this sometimes, and then like some of your friends you probably didn't know you have on Instagram.
Yep.
So I think our community is the same as that. There are some like superstar players that are just going to outrank everyone. And then some people kind of comment on stuff. And then some people, they don't want to be inside of the community. They want to, like you said, they just come for the live stuff. Yeah. Or they watch, here's some of my favorite people. They'll buy like 6 seats, like a company will buy 6 seats for their employees. Their employees like see one video and they're like, oh, that'd be a cool way to like change our emails. It works and they never come back again. And the thing is, they got their money out of it. So it just, the customer journey is a little bit different. I don't agree with like people have to finish your entire course. Really? People have to sit and watch 40 hours of me talking. I think that's total bullshit. They don't need to. It's a la carte. Every time I've bought a product, I don't know about you, but it's like, I get what I need out of it. And I'm like, all right.
I guess it depends. Like there's courses where you just want to learn a little something. And there's other things where it's like you're developing a skill at a high level. Like trading is a skill set that takes information and practice and execution. I would imagine copywriting is somewhat similar, where you can't just like watch a course on copywriting and then be like a master copywriter.
No, I mean, it sounds like it's self-serving for a community, but I tell people like the goal when they join our community is to hit 100 posts. And what you do is like, there's like a feed that shows all the people's stuff that people are working on, and go comment on what you think is bad about it. And what happens is, you start seeing that in your own. You go like, hey, you should add social proof. And then invariably what happens, you go, what about my page? Does this have social proof on it? And you go, oh shit, it doesn't. Then you go add it. So I actually like the actual best way to get it is by commenting on other people's stuff. Even if you're not an expert, I bet you could look at a page and be like, this is why I didn't sign up. This is what I'm confused about. This is where I think you can improve. So yeah, we actually encourage people to post because like, it turns out a funny thing, the best way to get better at writing is by writing a bunch. Yeah.
It's like anything else, right? I mean, it's whether it's coding, whether it's investing, like you can learn the information. Like you can go to a 4-year university and learn, the deepest depths of computer science or the deepest depths of finance like I did, but you're not going to be a good investor or a good programmer until you're actually thousands of hours into performing the task.
Dude, the way I think about it, in my 20s, I went to a ton of conferences. And this is like a little bit before the YouTube days, right? Where you couldn't actually get all this information for free. You can't listen to Warren Buffett talk for 50 hours for free. And so you used to go to conferences as a way to get like the real inside scoop. And then over time, I was just like, I could listen to all these people on podcasts, on YouTube, and see better edited versions of this. Or watch their best interview that they did, not some random one they did. And so I stopped, I kind of stopped going to actual things in conferences and listening to the talks. And rather, I would just sit in the hall and just talk to people. And I got far more out of that. And that's kind of what I want to do with my community, that like, yes, you can come listen to Neville talk about AI and copywriting. That's cool. But at the same time, like meeting other people in the community is where the real value is. And we've seen that happen. We've seen people, I was telling you this, I was like, some of the people have met each other, started companies that do way better than ours. And I'm like, damn it.
You got to have a clause like, I get 3% of your business.
And so we've also seen people that were like writers in our communities that joined other companies full-time, stuff like that. I think that's where like the real value comes out of in the long run.
For sure. Yeah. There's no substitute for that in-person relationship building. I mean, I can think back over the past like 20 years to just a handful of either conferences or events and maybe less than 10 conversations that took my life in a completely different direction.
It is kind of wild how like one little sentence or something that someone says can just stick with you forever.
Yeah.
It's a real serendipity.
Or one intro or one JV deal or just the smallest thing can just completely change everything.
Yeah. What in your community, what is it mainly? Is it like people chatting about like, I should buy this stock or like what?
Yeah. We do stocks and cryptos. What's the vibe on the stock side?
I mean, we're constantly just essentially on the treasure hunt for looking for, what's going to be the next big winner. And we, some of our community members are a little bit more active in day-to-day trading. Some are more like me, where you're sort of, waiting for that fat pitch, so to speak, to hit it out of the park. And so, yeah, we're constantly, there is a lot of communication day to day just about, well, what do you think about this? What do you think about this idea? Or can you look at this stock for me? And so I'll go in and, kind of do a deep dive, and then really just trying to, it is a two-way conversation. Like I obviously have a deeper expertise than a lot of members because I've been doing this for 20 years. But at the same time, they'll bring up things that I haven't thought about. So investing really is, I think, helpful when you can have someone else to bounce ideas off of and to sort of turn your attention to certain things that you might have missed. So yeah, I mean, it's ultimately for us like a big treasure hunt. And, in exchange for that, I try to provide as much value as far as my expertise that I can give to the people who maybe want to take it to the next level.
And this happens on like Discord or live calls?
Yeah, mostly Discord. We do have our weekly market updates, which are essentially like Zoom calls. And there I'm trying to update them on everything I think they should know about. We also do like different trainings occasionally. Like yesterday, I actually did a course on options because a lot of our members are like, hey, I love trading stocks and crypto, but like, I'm kind of interested in this whole like stock options thing. It seems like you can make a lot of money. So, I spent like a lot of time over the past couple of weeks putting together like a 2 to 3 hour options course that we ran yesterday. And I think it's valuable. It's like you said, it's not necessarily going to turn you into an amazing options investor from just watching the course, but I think it like takes you from 0 to 1 as far as like your knowledge base.
Well, and it'll save people from just blowing up and doing really stupid shit.
Yeah.
I mean, that's where most people start is they get in, they try to get rich quick and they lose everything. They blow out their account. We can just get people to not do that. That'll save them years of pain.
Yeah. I mean, go on Wall Street Bets any day of the week and you see somebody like a really sad story. Sometimes they joke about it and think it's funny, but really there's a lot of very sad stories that pop up on Wall Street Bets every week of people like getting themselves into really dire situations financially.
Yeah. And the other piece that we've been trying to focus on is like helping people just get a more like complete financial plan. Because I can name several people that made millions trading and they wasted so much money on taxes because they weren't optimized, or they ended up like over concentrating in something and then giving 80 or 90% of it back. So that's where Nikki comes in, is like helping on the financial planning side. Mm-hmm. And we see this like with entrepreneurs too. Like we have several friends that we all know that have made a lot of money, but they're not really optimizing their finances the right way. And I don't know, I just think we can dial that in and maybe help smooth out the boom and bust.
I think, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to ask you, where do you go for guidance if you have questions about whether it's,
watch old Warren Buffett videos?
Yeah, but there's certain things that he doesn't address, right? Where maybe it's how do I save on taxes, or how do I
think it depends on your risk tolerance. Because dude, I know people that you both know too, that are on such different sides of the spectrum on this. For example, if you get a really low interest rate on a home, it makes sense. If it's like below inflation rate, it's like 2% or whatever, it makes sense on paper, on a spreadsheet, to just hold that forever and never pay it off as slowly as you possibly can. It totally makes sense. But I know people that even just work a job, and this is not easy for them, that will pay off their house immediately because they don't want the psychological burden of them owing money to a bank. And both answers are correct.
Sure. I agree.
Yeah, both answers are correct. Yes, I agree that like blah, 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 on a spreadsheet, you'll make more money in the long run. But at the same time, if that guy's like stressing out, fuck, I owe money to a bank, I don't want to owe money to a bank, then like to him, that's important.
Yep.
That's like for me, I don't care about like cool shoes or something like that. But someone who I saw you looked at my $30 shoes. Yeah. but someone who really cares about like the new Jordans or whatever, like I don't give a fuck personally, but they do. And so if they want to spend $1,000 on them, that's the right way too.
That's why it's called personal finance.
Ooh,
I am going to play
a good one.
I am going to play devil's advocate though and say that there are some wrong answers out there. Like in some situations, yeah, you're right. There's trade-offs that that make that make it such that there's not one right answer. But I do think there are in many cases some wrong answers out there where people are doing things that like are actively hurting themselves.
And I think a category of that is like landmines that people don't know about. Like if you sell your business and you got tens of millions of dollars and you're holding it in one stock, you might not know the risk you're taking on by doing something like that. Or if you're not optimizing your retirement accounts, you could be paying 6 figures a year above what you should be in taxes. Like there's things like that people just don't know.
I guess for me personally, to answer your question originally was like, I have like a CPA that tells me all this stuff. Yeah. Okay. And they have all these like terms like a S corp with a blah, blah, blah.
right.
Like, I honestly don't even know what it means.
Yeah.
But they're like, you'll save a lot of taxes in the long run. I'm like, this is the best way to move forward. They say yes. And I go, okay.
Yeah.
I think that's great. About the way that I do it.
It's amazing how many CPAs actually don't know like about advanced planning shit. Like Nikki runs into that all the time when she's working with a client. It's like, your tax person told you to do what? Like, most people are just paper pushers.
Well, I was
and they don't
surprised.
think
Like
about
the CPA will tell you actually for the more advanced stuff, go to these people. I'm like, isn't that what you do?
A lot of CPAs are just doing tax returns, and that's what they know.
That's true. And that's just like my ignorance of like, I thought you're the one that tells me what to do with all of my money all the time. And they're like, no, we just do the file returns and stuff.
That's actually a really important thing for us to just double down on here on this conversation is, you know, you have to have your eyes open about that. Like anyone listening right now, you know, it's not just always a simple, straightforward answer of like the CPA is who you go to for strategy, taxes, you know, investing advice, right? Those are different skill sets and often need, especially if you're at a higher level of net worth, need different advisors or different education or help.
You know where I've learned a lot of this stuff? Like TikTok, Insta, or I watch.
No.
I watch, hold on. I watch TikTok on Instagram, of course, because the old school way.
As any 30 or 40 something does.
And like, there's all these videos of like airline mile points and stuff like that. So I'm not talking about advanced tax strategies, but they'll be like, I forget all these names, so forgive me. But like, they'll be like, they'll take the video of themselves and then pretend to be another person. It's just like the crappy green screen background.
Yeah.
And they'll be like, oh, I got the Amex Platinum card, but did you know you're losing a lot of money? Like those types of things, I know they're kind of stupid and they could go really astray, but I've learned a lot of cool principles from those dumb videos.
Yeah.
It's like the impetus that I was just like, wait, I'm doing that.
There
like,
are some smart
and then I go
creators.
look it up.
And just take the information and fact check it.
Yeah. Because there are some really good creators who actually do a really good job of explaining complicated subjects within finance in a good way on TikTok or Instagram or YouTube. But then there's the ones you see on like, you know, TikTok investors account on Twitter where they repost the most cringe and sometimes illegal financial advice or somebody's like literally scamming, you know, the IRS. And it's like, yeah, you're making extra money, but you're
above
going to
100, so I can put that pretty easily.
Yeah,
but,
for sure.
Yeah, there's like some obvious dumb ones like, hey guys, I made $1 million. And you're like, all right, this guy, first of all, I hate to judge, but he sounds like an idiot. So I'm going to hold that against him. But yeah, there are a lot of things I've learned based off that. And then I'll go look it up on YouTube more in depth.
Yeah.
Because when people tell me, they're like, Neville, what about if you take your tax strategy and put your S Corp to this? I'm just like, I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
You have to talk to someone else about that. So that's been a good way to learn.
Yeah.
And thankfully, like YouTube exists, and you could see like CPAs, personal finance planners, all that, just talking about that in depth, which is super cool.
Yeah, man, it's awesome how deep YouTube goes now. Like the other day, I'm trying to figure out if I want to buy a car or lease a car, and I found a channel that I didn't even know existed with 300, 400,000 subscribers, and they go deep, like multiple videos a week on all these like minute things about leasing a car and things to watch out for. And I'm like, this is awesome. Like this is such a helpful channel. Didn't even know it existed until this week, you know?
Yeah. There's a lot of those niche things that are just like, you can go sub niche and still build a 6-figure audience or more.
So you're almost at 100K on YouTube.
Hey,
that's
I
exciting.
should probably post on there. Yeah. Probably post. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's part of it is actually creating content. That
I mean, I think there's been a tectonic shift in like SEO, like just like getting a web page ranked in the last 3 to 4 years. It was starting before COVID, and then it like got even worse after that. And like, I think the value of those users have gone down significantly. I think branded searches are more important, but then YouTube searches are all branded search. They're like Neville copywriting. And when people search that, I see super crazy high conversion rates. All of them come from YouTube because they see me talking. Here's a funny thing about my YouTube. All my top videos don't have me in it.
Really?
Isn't that funny? I'm just like,
what are they?
I guess I'm ugly or something. But it's
No.
usually like a training where I've taken, like, for example, it was like how to become a copywriter, a big thing. And so for years, I had an SEO guy who was like, you should make a post about how to become a copywriter. And I was like, but I don't encourage people to become copywriters. And he's like, then say that. I was like, oh yeah. And so I wrote a post about it that did really well. And then I just read it out, and then someone made a video for it. I paid for a video to be made, and that became a top video. So it's usually my top blog posts. I just read them out, and then we kind of animate them in our own like goofy, like stick figure style. And those are the ones that do the absolute best, that are more timeless.
Interesting.
Yeah. And me just chatting to the camera because I have something to say, like, doesn't do all that.
Maybe the animations are just more engaging and the watch time is longer.
I think they're longer videos, and one, I wrote it out as a blog post. It's well thought out already.
Yeah.
Whereas me just rambling, like Neville in person tends to go on tangents. Neville as a writer is ruthless about,
Yeah.
Do you have any platforms or any things that you're focused on here in the next year or so that you're really trying to?
I think
to amp
Twitter's
up?
very interesting. Right now, there's a bit of a lull in engagement in Twitter. I think there's a lot more shit posters and stuff like that as they're figuring it out. But I think Elon Musk is at the helm, so whatever you think of that. But at the same time, they are aggressively moving that platform forward to involve money and all that kind of stuff. And I think that's going to be a killer thing. Like so WeChat in China. They had like this app runs this entire country.
Yeah, that to me is a little freaky. I think the idea of a super app is really bad idea. I hope it never happens here.
I mean, I think it will. I mean, think about it, like Apple is kind of like, right?
They
Apple,
have
Google.
taken over the space, but yeah, I think, anything where it's social, it's payments, it's whatever. Like if you have too many eggs in a basket, if you get hacked or blocked or silenced or, shadow banned or whatever, like it's just dangerous. Like I think it should stay bifurcated.
But I think it's like, for example, like let's say there's been times when people have I've posted a question on Twitter and someone answered. I was like, dude, I never would have found this. This is great. I can't tip them. I can't send them money. Like I can't give you $1.
Yeah.
And so I think there's little things like that. And I'm like, that just doesn't exist.
Well, you
which
can
is
do that
so
now.
strange.
Yeah.
You can sort of do that now. I also like the idea of micropayments. I'm talking about like a billionth of a cent.
Yeah.
Can I send you a billionth of a cent for something?
Well,
And
that's what the Brave browser, the idea behind that was.
Brave,
you could tip
crypto,
creators.
all that kind of stuff
Yeah.
will move in that direction and enable that. I think that's going to enable a whole different type of economy. Remember, Steve Jobs invented like the 99-cent payment, right? He invented
with music?
With music.
Yeah.
Because blah, 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 fees are too high. But they invented that you buy a song for 99 cents. You never charge 99 cents to a credit card, ever. That it wasn't a thing. And so imagine like the 1 cent payment, the billionth of a cent payment. Every time I get in an Uber, every time the wheel goes around, I could pay it right away. Something like that's going to enable all these things we never thought of before.
Right.
And I think for creators especially, like imagine someone watches this video and pays us half of a cent.
Yeah. I mean, essentially, the ad platforms have been the micropayments of the social platforms. But I agree, it would be cool to have more than just a tip jar if there was maybe a more sophisticated way to implement the micropayments from like me to you or you to me, where it's not ad based.
That's Brave. Brave is similar, right?
Yeah. And I think they've kind of fallen off, but the idea that they initially launched was like put a budget into the browser where it's like $50 a month, choose your creators, and then like it'll divvy it up in different ways. You can
this is, sorry, totally interrupt.
No, go ahead.
This is actually how the internet was supposed to start. Mark Andreessen talked about it when he invented the Netscape browser, that you know how like 404 error means like you can't reach the web page? 406, 407, one of those, forgive me, wrong one, but like one of those was meant that we couldn't access your wallet. And so they were actually going to build in payments because they were like, obviously, like we need a payment system. Like this is so clear and blah, 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 because of all the rules, whatever, they just never did it. But that was the original intent of the internet, to be able to pay someone. So whenever you go visit their page, remember back in the day, it cost you money to host things.
Right.
It like if someone hot linked you, you're like, hey, don't link traffic to my, I have to pay for it.
My servers are burning.
Exactly. That was the thing. Now it doesn't really matter. But like that was a thing that you're going to pay someone for that traffic. And so that just never got built into the internet. So fast forward maybe 30 years later, we're starting to see the seedlings of it.
I do think it's probably easier to implement on a social network than the entire World Wide Web, because there's a lot of web pages. It's like, how do you implement this? If it's like, is it a creator? Is it a business? Is it something else?
Ironically, a centralized system is really great for this.
Yeah.
It's actually really easy.
Yeah.
Because you could send a billionth, like Elon Musk always says, money is just a database number. That's it. So sending a billionth of a thing, I'm not actually sending you, it's just allocating that to you instead of another person.
Yep.
Few electron cycles, the transaction is done.
Yeah. And we've got things like Lightning and like, crypto is there. It's there. It's just, how do these centralized social networks want to do it?
Whenever we first started talking about Bitcoin way back in the day, I did some tests and I was experimenting with, dare I say it, Bitcoin Cash as well. I know, very, very, very controversial, but I was open-minded. Sure. Like, this guy's saying some wild stuff. Let me try it out. Turns out he was right in certain ways. In terms of sending Bitcoin Cash to one account to another back in the day, dude, it was like uncomparably fast.
Yeah. It's a trade-off, right? And ultimately, the community chose greater security than convenience.
And then I sent $20 of Bitcoin to one wallet to another wallet. It took like 40 minutes, and then it cost me $40 or something like that. That's like equivalent to the transaction. And I was like, well, that's dumb. Recently, I made some big trades, and the transaction was like 20 cents or something like that.
Yeah.
And it happened almost instantaneously.
Yeah. And the network's gotten better. Also,
it's starting to creep up, and people don't realize.
What?
The speed and fees are...
Yeah. I mean, everything's improving.
The easiness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought we would be a lot farther than we are today, but slowly but surely.
The pipes have to be built.
Yeah.
And I just don't think the existing pipes are strong enough.
And I think too, what's been missing is like that consumer UI part of it, where it's like the consumer's not thinking that it's crypto. It's just, oh, we're making payments, and then, oh, wait, this is crypto. So maybe X or maybe something, along those lines.
Honestly,
will do
like you go to the airport, what's everyone use their fucking QR code on their mobile pass? I mean, it's like that works.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, okay, I go to India. We used to go to India every few years as a kid. And I remember way back, I'm talking Nokia days, the old ass Nokia snake playing phone. Dude, people were transferring like cents over like rupees and stuff, like paisa actually, like their cents over their phones, just like for free.
Yeah.
Like online mobile banking back then was just like you text a number to a phone number and like it just sent you that money.
yeah.
That
lot
was
of places-
already existed.
Yeah, a lot of places like that leapfrogged credit cards, right?
Dude,
Like,
and I remember thinking like India was so backwards, but then on this, they are so far ahead.
Yeah.
Like, we couldn't even possibly do that over here.
places like Bali, like credit cards are very rare now. It's all QR codes.
Yeah, now even when I carry my wallet, I'm carrying a plastic metal card around.
Yeah, it's very
Hell,
antiquated.
and it has the read code on it.
Yeah.
It has my password, my credit card number on the thing in plain daylight, and I hand it to everyone.
Yeah.
How stupid is that?
Yeah. It's kind of crazy when you think about
It's
it.
really dumb now that we have all these other forms. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then now you've got the palm in the what?
Oh yeah, Amazon and the
Amazon.
Dude, I
Whole
kinda wanna
Foods.
sign up for that.
Whole
Actually,
Foods?
Oh no!
I know you'd be like, never do it. I'm
Hell
like,
no.
sign me up. I signed up for Clear recently, and they scan your eyes. And I'm like, I don't give a fuck.
I did do that
Take
one.
it.
The problem now is like that line is way too long. They got way too many customers.
Oh yeah, yeah. The arbitrage of Clear is now like tipped the other way.
Yeah,
it's some airports.
I got TSA pre-check with the Clear, right? That used to get me right through. Now the Clear line is super long. I'm like, well, let me just go in the TSA pre. That's faster without Clear. So
Yeah.
What a racket.
they've kind of killed their own business by being too successful, I think.
Isn't it kind of crazy that, these government run or, partially government run airports have essentially like carved out this space for this private company to profit from? And obviously Clear is paying them a kickback, but it's like their service was crappy. And so this other company, hey, your service is crappy. Let us come in and do it better. But you're still going to have yours, but we're going to do this on the side. And it's, I don't know, the whole idea of Clear is...
I almost feel sorry for them in a way because like they are trying to protect the ultimate thing was like protect the American public from something like 9/11 happening again. And the thing is, you can never prove that you did anything. Because if you prevented it all, because everyone's like, well, there's been no more terrorist attacks. And they're probably being like, fucking thanks. You're welcome for all that shit that you're giving us.
Yeah.
So like I see both sides of it. If I was on the other side, I'd be like, this is a thankless job. It's like being a police officer. You prevent all these small crimes, therefore the bigger things never happen.
Yeah.
And then people are like, fucking the cops ain't doing anything. And you're just like, but we are. Like,
Yeah.
So I don't know which side of I am on.
The reports that show that like they have a 95% failure rate, that really doesn't help their
That
case.
doesn't help.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
I don't know. All right, we're coming up on an hour. Let's start to wrap this up. I wanted to ask like a few clarifying questions.
Yes.
Just going forward, like how do you think, let's make some predictions here. How is AI going to impact the average entrepreneur? Is it going to make it easier or is it going to disrupt things in a way that there's less opportunity, more opportunity? Have you thought through this type of stuff?
I think in the ultimate long run, I don't know how human brains are going to compete with AI.
That's where I'm at with it,
I
too.
don't actually see how that.
So what does that mean? Like,
I mean, it's like, I mean, this is so far in the future, but it's maybe not that far
Is
in the
it though?
future. Like
Yeah.
the Neuralink thing, like we're going to have to integrate with the machine, right? So right now we are kind of integrated with the machine. There's a machine in front of my face. You're watching this on a machine. We are partially machines. We have Aura rings on. We got phones. We are sort of machines, just crappy cyborgs that are all cobbled together. And at some point, it's going to have to integrate with the brain. I don't know, like if you're asking me 50 years from now.
No.
are you-
5
are you-
years. Let's go 5.
5 years, I think will still be good.
Okay.
But I don't know. It's gonna catch up pretty quick. So, but in terms of like, if you want to make a business, like I said, before all this technology happened, almost no young people had businesses. Now everyone has a business. You are on TikTok making some ad revenue. You have a business, right? You have a shitty business, but you have a business. And so I think it's just going to keep making it way easier. You say, hey, computer, make me a website, make me an Instagram, make me some content, just so I could get started with my business and have a presence. Done. Right? Before you have to go make the Instagram. How do you work Photoshop? How do you work Canva? How do you do all that stuff? How do you upload? What do I put on there? What do I write on there? I think it'll just figure all that stuff out for you.
Yeah.
And then the new jobs of the future, I don't think we're going to be able to fathom them just yet. 20 years ago, none of this was a viable option for a job.
True.
Like I'm just going to go chat with my buddies drunk. Like that wasn't like a real option for people, but then now it is.
So if it's much easier for people to get started, where do you think people would differentiate, especially in areas like digital marketing where you're an expert?
The underlying principles of having a unique voice and all that kind of stuff are going to be valid. Yeah. And in fact, it'd probably be more valid. Yeah. In fact, I'm hiring with this design agency because I don't know anything about design, and everyone loves the drawings I used to do. And they're just like, that was your strongest stuff. And the feedback I always get is like, love the drawings. And they're like crappy drawings.
Like your stick figure.
Yeah. And people like that because they're like, that's Neville. I know that's Neville. Mm-hmm. And anytime I've used like Canva templates or something, not to knock on Canva, but anytime I use generic kind of templates, it kind of like falls flat. And whenever I use like drawings and stuff, it does well. And that's because like it's uniquely my style. So I think having your hook, your little thing is still going to be very important.
Well said.
Yeah. For you, floral shirts. Yeah.
That's my thing.
You love those
I was
shirts.
doing it before it was cool, by the way.
That's right. That's right.
Now everybody's wearing my damn Hawaiian shirt.
Yeah, so I think just having a unique voice is going to be even more important in the future. But I think like the tactics will change. The overall thing probably won't.
Well said.
Well said. Any other questions for Nev?
Nev, what do you think about the Federal Reserve here? No, I'm kidding.
we actually just had the interest rate announcement, and it's a nothing burger.
Like we thought it would be. Markets reacting a slightly negative. Maybe there were some comments in there. We'll have to follow up on that next week. But
Yeah, I guess in my day-to-day life, I don't think about what the interest rate is day to day. I look at it and it's like either like really high or normal or low.
Good.
Do you
Let
look
us
at
nerds
price
stress
charts?
out about
Not really.
Good.
Not really. I mean, I take a glance at them occasionally, but I learned from Warren Buffett a long time ago. Just like the average, unless I'm paying attention to it day to day like you guys do, that it doesn't mean anything.
Yeah. I think the best way to think about it for passive investors is just accumulate as many assets as possible. And I know that sounds like stupid simple, but a lot of people don't think that way. Like a lot of people think, let me make as much income as possible. But a lot of people don't try to retain that income and put it into assets like Bitcoin, stocks, real estate, whatever. Like that's my message is like the younger you are, start that. Try to aggressively accumulate.
Yeah, and keep shoving chips in and don't worry as much about the day-to-day
That's the hard
fluctuations.
part, not doing anything.
Yeah.
Not doing anything. You know what I did? Actually, if there's any young people, the younger you are, go through your day trading phase. I feel like, and I'll say this, specifically males, everyone goes through a day trading phase.
Yeah.
Once they have a little bit of extra income, they're like, I think I could get rich on this. It goes low, it goes high. Yeah. And you can make money both ways, right? You could short it, you could go up it, like whatever. And so I did that in college and I spent a year doing it, waking up when the bell rang and all that shit. I had the 3 monitors going on. And in the end, after taxes, you don't even make that much money. I didn't make that much money. And then the trades that I made, the Buffett style, reading reports and being like, oh, wait, it's obvious this is going to go up in the long run. They're doing so well. In 10 years, this company's going to rip it. Those types of trades is where I made all my money.
Yeah. I mean, day trading used to be a profession, right? Like back in the late 90s, early 2000s, there were trading floors on Wall Street. People went in, they had a job, they day traded. Nowadays, algorithms have competed that shit away. So that's our message is like longer hold times equal bigger profits, trade less, profit more.
Yeah. Absolutely. That's what I've seen.
Actually, I have a little plug for the Daily Doe. This morning, I wrote about unlocking the secrets to long-term gains. And it's basically like not getting scared out of a position. Nev, have you ever seen this chart?
I shared it, but it's not my chart. Yeah.
I stole
you were
it
like,
from
I
you.
stole it from you. I'm like, I think
that's
make it.
is it Batnick's chart?
Yeah. Ritz Holt shared it. But if you're listening to the audio, basically over 40 times since the start of this bull market in early 2009, there have been over 40 events that were scary, big news events that could have caused you to sell out of the stock market. But look what price did. Just shakes it off. Going back to Bitcoin has quote unquote died almost 500 times over the past 12 years. And yeah, it goes through its massive 80% drawdowns, but the compound annual returns are CAGR, compound annual
growth rate.
Growth rate. But, there we go. So the idea here is just buy and hold and accumulate. And yeah, you can be active. You can be active like we are, but the main goal is just to accumulate assets, man, and hang on to them.
Yeah. Well said.
Yeah. Damn. That's a crazy chart.
Yeah.
I love that chart. But when you're going through a down cycle and everyone's negative around you about the economy and that America's going to go bust, it's hard to not get swept up in it.
Yes.
That's why I think everyone should go through a day trading phase young when you're going to like blow $1,000 and not destroy your whole future. Versus other people I see, they start working for Google, they start making real money, and they make these really dumb financial moves.
Yeah.
Like really smart people too.
Well, those are the people we want in our community. Those people we want to help. You know?
Yeah. And I think that's the value we offer in the community, not to make this a commercial about our community, but it's like when times are scary, we're in there excited trying to show people like Bitcoin just crashed from 8 to 4K. We're buying the shit out of it.
Oh, wait, what do you think of this? Is this true in your circle of friends? Most people I know that had big exits or made a lot of money doing their main thing, they actually make all their money doing something else.
Yeah.
Almost every single time. I've seen people have big exits and then they invest in some other random thing that makes way more money than they originally made on their main thing.
Yeah,
over and over and over again.
Their passive income or their passive gains are bigger than their active hustles.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've had years like that where my investing or trading gains out like 10x'd what I did with my hustle income, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, I see that over and over and over.
What are some examples of that you've seen?
I've seen, I'm not going to name actual names.
Right.
But I'll tell you off camera. But like people who have sold companies.
Yeah.
And they put money into a bunch of other things, just a small little bets.
Are you talking about like startup investing is where they make gains?
Some angel investments, but generally just even stocks and things like that.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Or they get a job at another place after that as a consultant and they end up making more money than their original thing.
Right.
That's been a very common thing. And it's like the more boring story of like you're just making a bunch of money every year and it's slowly accumulating. And at that point, they don't really need to spend that money. So it just keeps accumulating. They're like, I ended up making more. Famous examples, like public one is Jay Leno. He never spent his Tonight Show money. He only spent his money doing stand-up spots. Yeah. So even while he was doing the Tonight Show, he did 250 gigs a year at this like the whatever magic club near his house, and they would pay him crazy money each time. That's the money he spends, and he famously would put all his Tonight Show money and just save it and do nothing.
Yeah, and at some point you reach escape velocity where your wealth just outgrows whatever you can spend.
You're post-economic.
Post-economic.
I love that. Post-economic. Where you have so much money that nothing you do, including private jets, could like make you think about money.
Generational wealth, baby.
And on that note, we'll wrap it up. Guys, go out there and get your post-economic money. Thanks for coming, man.
Yeah, that was awesome,
Good
brother.
to see you. Guys, go to wetalkmoney.com, submit a question for the show, leave us a review if you want to see more awesome guests like Nev on the show. And we'll see you guys next time.
See ya. Thanks.
Later.